He was like, oh, everyone is leaving because they don't feel heard. They don't feel valued. We have to remember that. We are humans, we are not robots. And think about that when it comes up to communicating at work. In the simplest version, what we like to say is your culture is your beliefs in action. Small pieces of communication can lead to massive miscommunication. Here's an example. And so today, what I'm going to talk about is really a couple areas that you can focus on to create a workplace that doesn't suck.
I'm excited to introduce our next speaker, Hannah Ubl. Hannah is a renowned communication and culture expert and co-founder of Good Company Consulting. Her company's mission is to help organizations create workplaces that don't suck, and is motivated by the simple idea that the key to any great business is to put people first. Through her research, she's curated best practices from the world's most forward-thinking businesses. We are thrilled to have her share some insights with us here today, so please help me welcome Hannah Ubl.
At Good Company Consulting, we take pride in how we approach delivering content to rooms full of people who want to make their workplace better. And our goal is to give them really actionable tools in a fun and engaging way that is actually going to inspire them to take the steps they need to take to create better work environments. This is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for change that the workforce has needed for a very, very, very long time. We've all heard of the Sunday scaries, that pit that you feel in your stomach on a Sunday because you have to go to work on a Monday, and we dread what that work is going to be like, dread what our boss is going to say to us. And so the past few years, there's a lot of lessons in this, and we're looking at it as an inflection point. We're looking at it as an opportunity to change into something better, to change into a workplace that values flexibility, that values wellness, that values mental health, that can be more aligned with who we are and how we want to work for the future. There's so many steps that I take to get to know my clients before I end up working with them. One of those steps is having a call with all of the key people, key decision makers ahead of time to say, what is the goal you're looking for? What is the tone you're looking for? How do you want people to feel? What kind of actions do you want them to take when they leave the room? And then after that, we interview people. So I get to talk to people within the organization so I can really try to get a good understanding of what is going on behind the scenes. And then all of those conversations get wrapped into that final presentation that I ultimately deliver on stage.
Hannah is a treat to work with because she does so much research. She speaks with you on a very personal level. She really digs into what's going on in your organization, and she puts together a talk that inspires and really brings people into the content and the focus that you've decided on.
The other piece I will say here about culture is to talk about psychological safety and to really make it a top priority in whatever way you can, right? Like this is something that can be established by leaders, but it's something that we can all contribute to. And psychological safety is where the team feels safe for interpersonal risk-taking. And some questions to answer to know kind of, okay, do we feel like we have a psychologically safe culture? Is anyone in here someone who, like, if you make a little mistake, you're like, no, what have I done? I made a mistake, I'm terrible, everyone's gonna know. Why do I work here? They're talking about me. I'm sweating. Like, it's just a terrible feeling, right? So there's definitely people who are like that. An example, if this is ever something that comes up for you, for anyone else you work with, there's this really cool example I heard about called fail cards. It's so common when I speak to leaders, they have this tendency to want to do things the way they've always done them before, to want to produce in the same numbers in the same way that they have before. And it's not going to work to engage, recruit, or retain the workforce of the future. You have to do things differently. And I will say, if you are a leader, it's really, really important for leaders to take time to invite input. And I say this, and many times when I talk to leaders, they're like, yes, of course, absolutely, I need to listen. And still, employees don't really feel like their leaders are listening. So there's a report that came out, and in this example, it's just about learning skills in a new way. And they asked leaders, they're like, do you think that you're really helping people learn skills in a new way? And the majority of them were like, yeah, I think so. 74% of us said yeah. 38% of employees said yes. It's a huge difference. The more relatable that I can be to the people who are in the room, to the people who are in the audience, the more empowered and inspired they are going to feel to change their corporate culture. And George Bernard Shaw, I think, really puts it best. The biggest problem with communication is the illusion that it has taken place. Right? We know this, where we're in a conversation and we're like, you get it. You got it. And then later on you realize that the message was completely not understood and you're like, what were we missing? We were there. Many times this happens because we operate by the golden rule. We communicate with others the way that we wish we were communicated with. We're taught this when we're young. I was taught this when I was young, so well-intentioned. However, the golden rule centers you. Everyone doesn't want to communicate the same way as you, because we're all individuals. We all have different ways of walking around, different preferences, and so the platinum rule is really the best way to operate. Communicate with others the way that they wish to be communicated with. That centers them, not you. We all deserve a great place to work, and my goal in every kind of interaction I have and any kind of presentation I give is to show people how they can be a part of that difference in creating a better workplace. And at the end of the day, we never know what people are going through. We never know what's happening behind the scenes. And so the best way is just to extend grace constantly, lean into that curiosity, ask questions, and know like we are all vulnerable humans that have whole other lives happening. And when we're at work, it's just one small part of our lives. And if there's one thing that I want to leave you with, it's just that when you're making these connections, just remember humankind, be both. Thank you very much, everyone.